Hello there and welcome to math class. In this video we are going to be rounding decimals. So let's go ahead and give our page a title. And you will need this memory item. This is item 23 from your Memory Pieces kit. And you've seen this before. This is a copy of one that we've already looked at. The rule does not change, but since we're working with decimals, I thought I would go ahead and add it in again. And I'm going to color mine just because that's what I do, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But I want you to remember, if you've been studying your flashcards, we're looking at estimates, or approximate values, approximate answers. And on the rounding hill, remember we have to look at points of reference and neighbors and all that good stuff. If the neighbor is from 0 to 4, you don't change, you don't round up. If the neighbor happens to be on this side of the hill, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then you will round up your place of reference. So the rule has not changed at all. If you've practiced your rounding and you're good with rounding, you're going to still be good with rounding. It's just that we're adding the decimal places into the mix. So if the neighbor is on this side, you round up. If the neighbor is on this side, there is no change. And that is basically the rounding rule. So just to review a few of these using our decimal places, let's look at this one. I want to round six and 386 thousandths to the nearest tenth. So just like we did in the previous rounding lessons, you want to underline your place of reference, and that's the tenths place. You look back at your neighbor, and the neighbor's in the blue zone on the hill, so it's round up. Neighbor says round up. So this becomes 6.4. Now one thing that I like to do with decimals, just to make sure I have my place right, is to write my answer in word form. 6 and 4 tenths. And that tells me that I have it right, that I've rounded to the correct point of reference. So that's just something I do. You don't have to do that, but it's good to, first of all, practice writing your decimals in words. But it also is just sort of a trick that makes sure you check that. You don't have to worry about not remembering to check your place. Okay, another example. I want to round 302 and 9,683 ten thousandths to the nearest hundred. I'm sorry, I just completely misread that. To the nearest thousandth. I don't know what, it's late guys and I'm tired. So 302.9683, and the thousandth place is my place of reference. So I look back and the neighbor says stay. So I'll have 302 and 968 thousandths as my answer. Okay, let's do a few more. Maybe 4 more if I can fit those in. Example. Round 4.69,503, and let's count these places. There's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths. But we want to round this to the hundredth place. So I have 4.069503. The 6 is in the hundredths place, and the neighbor definitely says to round up. So we end up with 4.07, or 4 7/7. And when we do this with whole numbers, we put zeros out here. With decimals, you can if you want to, but you really don't need to. 4.07 is the best answer. You don't have to round off the decimal places like you do the whole numbers. Okay, here's another example. Let's round 603 and 82 hundredths to the tens. Now be careful. I'm not saying tenth. I'm saying tens. So that's going to be a completely different thing. 603.82 to the nearest 10. That's the 0. You look at the neighbor. The neighbor says stay. So it will be 6 0 tens, and then that ones place has to round off. That's a tricky one, but it's to the nearest 10, not the tenths. In this one, I'm going to round that same number to the tenths place. So round 603.82, same problem, to the tenths with a TH. So this time my point of reference is the 8. I look back, ask the neighbor. Neighbor says stay. So 603.8, or 603 8 tenths. And then one more. Let's round 965 10,000ths to the hundredths place. Oh, this is an interesting one. So here's the hundredths, and the neighbor says round up. So when I go to round that 9 up, it becomes a 10. The 9 rounds up to a 10. And then I will eliminate that extra 0. So you could call that 10 hundredths or 1/10. It's the same thing. But you need to get that 1 in that tenths place. Okay, we do have some practice on these. Remember, if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact your instructor. But this rule is the same rule that it's always been. We're just applying it to those decimal places. In the next video, we will learn how to add and subtract decimals. So I will see you soon, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.